right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Ryan Ruda. Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I need a motion to accept the consent agenda, taking special note of the resignation from Julie Nemechek from her teaching and supplemental duties at the end of her current contract, and the subsequent hiring of Julie Nemechek as the District Technology Director to take effect July 1, 2024.
Second.
Sean and Jill. Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Recognitions.
I just want to take the opportunity to celebrate what just happened. The passing of the torch, if you will, from Randy to Julie as the director of the technology department. We are a high-tech district, and so we really do depend on keeping everything going as best we possibly can. Julie's been a part of the district forever. I don't know how long, but a long time, and served several different roles of late doing the technology integration specialist work, and has the heart of the teacher, speaks teacher, understands teacher world, is a perfect fit for moving into this position. It's particularly poignant and helpful in the fact that now she will begin starting to shadow Randy tomorrow. We will be looking at the various duties that she's currently contracted to do, to pull some of those off her plate so that she'll get more and more in depth into the world of Randy, which is a scary place, right, Mr. Ackerman? Moving forward, we'll be looking at tomorrow, we'll be looking at the network technology technicians, rather, that the board created that position a couple months back. And we've got, multiple applications for that. So I'm hoping, if everything goes according to Hoyle, we'll be bringing forward a person to hire at the March board meeting. So bring that individual on to start, shadowing Randy, working with Julie as we move on down the pike. And then the last adjustment within the technology department is, as you all know, Patty Knoll has submitted her resignation, retirement for next year. So we're looking to bring somebody on in her role in May 1. So shadow for a little bit and throughout the summer. So once again, I hate seeing Randy retire, but I understand. And we are set up for success moving forward. So congratulations, Julie. It's a celebration as far as I'm concerned.
All right, it is a celebration. All right, let's move to financials. Mike?
Okay, on page 2 of the warrants, I'll just point out down at the bottom, Ginson, Mancini, Carmichael paid him another $20,280 for their work on the concession stand project. And then on page 3, mid-page, Holcomb Recreation Commission, we got the tax money flow through from the county to them, total of $325,959.86. And then on page 5, Savvis Learning, the new curriculum of $39,875, and then just below that, the Spanish curriculum, $8,488.80. So total warrants for this month on page 7, $629,387.59. And half of that was the stuff to the rec. And we also got our cash, or on page 9, you'll see our cash accounts are up too because we got tax money from the county too. So that makes us look a lot better cash-wise. And then page 11, fund expense summary, where we expect to be percent-wise as far as our budget for this year. So we're doing good. And then back behind that's the transfers and the high school, middle school reports. So if you have any questions.
If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the financials at $629,387.59.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Ruda and Ryan Schreibergel. Moved and seconded to approve the financials. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No public patron concerns, administrative reports, and Dr. Myers.
All right, I've got about 4 or 5 things to talk to you about. I'm leading off with, give you an update and for people out in the world who are listening to this as well. Snow days wise, we started the year with 9 days. We've utilized 6, giving us 3 left to be used before anything happens. If we exhaust those days, then it's all about making up time because we have to statutorily have X amount of contact hours for 1st through 11th grade, and then also a different number for kindergarten and seniors. So right now we're sitting with 3 days left. However, proclivity of the law, I always anoint the first 2 days after spring break as our designated snow makeup days. So if we simply come to school on those 2 days, we make up time. So instead of having, which we're scheduled to do anyway, yeah, we get to count it double. So instead of can't say that sentence. Instead of missing 6, it would say we've only missed 4. So that's good news. Along those lines, though, we also, just because there might be an opportunity where it might be needed, I pulled together all the players, all the directors and principals, AD, janitors, everybody who deals with the start of school, and we put together a 2-hour delay approach. I'm handing out to you the very first salvo of communication that would go out starting tomorrow to tell people what's going on. Because the last thing you want to do is throw something brand new at people without letting them know something is happening. You pass that to Robin, too, please. Not looking to use this, don't want to use it. But there might be a situation where we do need to use it. And just so you're aware, I mean, once again, I go back to that. If we don't meet the number of hours needed, you're making up time after school's out. Okay, I know some districts close by us have already adjusted their schedules, adding time to the end of the year for their seniors, which, I mean, that's their world, it's not ours. And it'd be nice if we could avoid having that action. So if we were to ever do a 2-hour delay, then that day counts fully, even though you're not in there for the 2 hours, just how the law is. If we started school and literally had it for 1 hour, it counts for the entire day. And so this is just a good safety net to have in place, and we will begin, like I said, in earnest in advertising this to people. We'll put it up everywhere we can think to, and of course, people will come out of the woodwork saying, are you having a late start tomorrow? No, this is just in the event. And then, as God is my witness, I'm sure that if and or when we ever utilize this in the next year or however many years to come, somebody will say, I didn't know that it was an opportunity or an option. All we can do is keep communicating. We'll get the word out as best we possibly can. So that's all about the snow stuff. I've talked to you before about the hiring season is upon us, and one of the levers we're trying to pull this year, we've entered into an agreement with HireFox. That's a group out of Fulton, Missouri, who have a conduit of candidates from the Philippines. Well, we're actually starting down that path. Randy has multiple positions open in her building, and I think she's chosen 4 candidates to interview in the next week or so. We follow the exact same rules we do for everything else when we go to hire people, and I had a really good conversation with them today, Randy, covering all that. That it's, we'll do a paper audit of their materials, reference check, and then also do a committee type approach to this. So I have no idea if we'll hire a single person from the Philippines, but at least it's an option that we're exploring. It's not a crazy idea. I think I've told you guys before, but when I lived in Elkhart, the entire medical group there, at least the doctors, were all from the Philippines. I know that districts around us have had teachers from the Philippines, and so it's not an unheard of thing to occur. As we walk down that path, I'll get some more information to you. Casey, Sean, and Curtis, I attended the negotiations training that we have to have, and I will be training you up so that we meet the law on that one. Nothing has changed as far as the law goes, and I do have, we'll be talking negotiations during executive session tonight. Mr. Jones, I've got the paper for you. One last item to discuss, we are looking at revamping summer school. It's just not been doing what we want it to do. So we may call a hiatus on it for this year, rebuild the thing, and come back. I'm interested in a jump start sort of approach, which, so the kids would come back to school earlier. But as far as the impact it's had on academics and or social emotional is negligible at best. And so why keep doing something if it's not working? Also, what's been fueling that is ESSER money. Well, ESSER money's going away. So we need to look at doing it differently somehow, some way. So that is in the works, nothing is set in stone yet, but just let you know we're looking at it. Just because we've done it in the past doesn't mean we have to keep doing it. And that's it, Mr. Jones.
All right. Garrett, buildings and grounds. Nothing further. Okay. Sam, transportation.
Nothing further.
Food services, Monica? Nothing further. Technology, Mr. Ackerman?
Nothing further.
Okay. Well, let's move to the principals and Mrs. Albright. He's talking at you.
I want to start by talking about the training that we had for our teachers on Friday. We are still training with our CKLA ELA adoption that we did a couple years ago, and it's more and more beneficial, I think, every single time we do have a professional development session with them, because we are more comfortable within the curriculum, and so what they're telling us doesn't sound foreign, and so knowing where we are in the curriculum and what's coming next, it's just very beneficial. And this last Friday was about writing. We looked at writing across the grade levels and how it aligns with each other. They had some good collaboration within grade levels, as well as with the other grade levels, kind of how it progresses throughout. So those conversations are always good to have. And we have our curriculum mapping that we would have within the district with that as well. But this was just really good to dig deep into our skills and our knowledge units to see what writing looks like in each of those and how it progresses. So good training there. And I also wanted to highlight something from my board report. I included our FastBridge growth and low risk numbers from last year and this year. And we are seeing an increase in the number of students who are in our low risk category. So that's good. We're moving them from the high risk to the low risk. And our growth is growing as well too. So within that, those numbers, we include the students who are showing that typical and aggressive growth, as well as those who are already meeting benchmarks. So our numbers are looking really good. We're up like 7% within our growth and about 4% in the number of students who move from high risk to low risk. So good things are happening.
All right. Thank you, Amy. All right, Mrs. Tyne.
I would agree with what Amy said about the training that we had. Everything that she said also was true for us, the 3rd through 5th grade teachers. Yeah, 3rd through 5th grade teachers. And our session, it was great to be able to, for teachers to be able to see what students are doing in previous grades, because every time they come to your grade level, they act like I've never heard of a noun, or it just always is like, I don't know what you're talking about. So it's really good to see how they are working on skills that build to be able to write that opinion piece when they're in 5th grade, or they're working on persuasive pieces, different things that you can see along all of those grade levels. And I'm sure if we were to look kindergarten, we would be able to see kindergarten 1st and 2nd, we would be able to see that too. So it was very valuable for us to be able to see how that the curriculum spirals and comes back to those things repeatedly, so you're not just doing it once and then if you were gone, you miss it. So that was excellent for us. Also, I wanted to just highlight in my board report also, since we've been working on, our FastBridge data and taking a look at that, it's that time of year when we do our benchmark testing. One of the things that I talked about was the assembly that I had with students. We talked last year, one of the things that we need is for students to understand what is the purpose of this assessment, why is it important, why do I need to do my best, and also find a way to motivate them to do that. And so we had an assembly and we talked about that. We created some chants, we set some goals. I had made charts for them so they could see where as a grade level they were performing, and then we set a goal to try to reach for the winter benchmark test. We set that around the performance of the students, even though our goals have been focusing on the growth, so the typical and aggressive growth that Amy was talking about. But ultimately, we want to see that that transitions into the performance area as well. It was a pretty, lofty goal, I guess, but it was 5% increase in all grade levels in A reading or A math. So we did not reach that goal in any of the grade levels in either of the subjects. But what was very valuable about the meetings that I then held with each grade level separately was we looked at that data, we looked at how they did, and we talked about goals, and we talked about, you don't always reach your goal the first time you attempt it. And we talked about how, we've all set goals that we don't reach the first time. So we continued to work towards that. And then we celebrated the areas that we did well. And we celebrated the areas where students were showing typical and aggressive growth, or where they were seeing increases, because we do a number of assessments. And so in some grade levels, they showed great growth in fact fluency. In other ones, they showed great growth in decoding, which is shown on a different assessment. So I think that conversation with them was really good. They were engaged with it, and we will continue and keep our same goal for the end of the year and see if we can reach it by then. But I think it did what we wanted it to, and definitely there are some great positives that we're seeing, but also some areas that we still need to continue to work on.
I'll do that.
Thank you, Randy. All right, Dr. Myers.
Tyler told me he might be a little late today. He's involved in the school situation, IEP. And I'm sure he'll be running in here any moment, but I will reiterate, it's one of the things I'm really excited about, and for the last 2 years now, we've really taken on more of a K-12 approach to things, and one of those being the use of FastBridge and our work within MTSS and the tiers of our students. It just is what it is, but the older the kids get, the more difficult it is to move the needle. It just is. A celebration coming out of the middle school, he included it in his report, but I want to explain that this is a big deal. Due to the data from the winter progress monitoring that took place, they've been able to actually eliminate a tier 2 group. Our goal is to get all of our kids in tier 1. The higher you go up, the more initiatives, the more individualized approaches to things you have to do with the individual kids up through tier 3. And then if it still doesn't make a difference, that's what launches the move into the SIT process, which could turn into an IEP. So the lower we can keep kids in the tiers, the better off. And due to their winter testing in the 6th grade group, they're actually able to do away with the tier group itself. I happened to have been lucky enough to stumble upon, I was walking through the middle school one day, and I came upon Tyler and Bree working on this very thing. They have all sorts of paper out, and the sticky notes are moving people around. Talking about each individual kid and talking about their scores and what it was, what we anticipate it to be. It was really neat to watch because it's a whole different approach, a better approach of the data-driven instruction that we're doing and systemically putting things together. So kudos to what I happened to witness. I know it's taking place at the other buildings as well, but it's indicative of we really got things going the right way now. So I'm pleased by that.
All right. High school, Jerry Johnson.
We'll keep the theme going because I was going to talk about FastBridge testing too. So it's almost like we planned this, but
We didn't.
yeah, we don't really talk, so it didn't happen that way. I don't try to go to elementary land. Last Friday on our half-day professional day, we got something from TASN the last time we were there. It's called the Group Growth Analysis Report. And what it was is able to look at your FastBridge data, the growth that they have, but then put your students into 4 different quadrants. And really what that is are your students growing at the rate needed to be in order to get on to testing on benchmark? And I think what was really cool for our staff is we broke up every single one of our teachers at the high school was put into a different group. We did it by the levels that we're in the Longhorn Linguistic Hour. And they were actually able to see every single one of, like, if they were a part of the freshman group, they saw all the freshman scores and then put them into one of these groups. And what really we saw is we are moving the needle. Even though that sometimes the cut scores don't see it as much, we're at like 60 anywhere from 58% to 62% of our students are on benchmark. But when you actually take a look at that, we had 5 to 7 kids in each grade that are progressing at the rate that they need to. By spring, they will be on benchmark. And when you actually take that figure then by how many of those kids are by the class, that's like 8 to 10%. Sometimes I think when we're looking at percentages, we look at and say, well, it's 1 kid per 1%, but that's not how it works. 8 kids, 9 kids, that moves your percentages really well. Our sophomore group right now is our highest level of group. They're at 62%, but they have enough students that if these kids make the track that they're on, we'll be over 73% of our students will be on benchmark by spring. And the goal is to be 80%. A high functioning core curriculum is 80%. And so that sophomore group is really close there. The seniors are very close there too. And so is the junior group. They're right on that track. They're making those goals. We have there's another quadrant there that you take a look at. They weren't on benchmark in the fall and they weren't on benchmark in the winter, but they are growing at a typical or aggressive growth that they may not meet benchmark by the spring, but they're closing the gap faster than what they had been anticipated. And so we're seeing good growth, and a lot of it is our teachers are focusing on it. And I think that's one thing we talked about as teachers is, I can tell you, before this year, I didn't even know how to read FastBridge data. I didn't even know how to log into the program because it's not something we really focused on. When you start to focus on that things and start to focus on some of the stuff, and you start to have that conversation with the kids, then everybody's on the same goal. And so everybody's kind of going with it, which is kind of cool to see our teachers is to saying stuff is like, yeah, we can read a little bit more into some of our classes. We can incorporate some more vocabulary routines. We can incorporate some more opportunities to respond. And if we do that, our comprehension goes up, and that's really what we're attacking anyway. So our staff has been really awesome, just the fact that they're bought into it and they see that it's making a difference, and so they're really excited about it. So,
If I may, Mr. Jones, in all my leaders, they will demur on this. They'll just say, no, it's not the case. But as I continually teach them, as they go, so goes their building. Great things are happening. We're really doing good things. You can hear the excitement in the presentations. They will say, oh, no, it's just the staff that's doing it. Yeah, the staff is doing it. They are. But they're doing it because of the positive leadership that's coming forward. And each one of the leaders is not just shoving it down anybody's throat. They're making it fit the needs of the teacher as well. So kudos to the principals. You guys you're rocking it. And I appreciate you and your efforts.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Even Jerry.
Yep. All right, let's move to unfinished business and independent audit report, Kennedy and McKee.
As you well know, the state dictates we have an annual internal audit each year in all facets of our business practices. And so we have a representative here to go through the report with you. The appropriate thing at the end of this is for the board to approve of the report. I will tell you up front, I don't want to take away any thunder, but we continue to get clean audits, and that is really, truly thanks to the good, diligent effort of Mike, Robin, Keisha, and Norma, as far as I'm concerned.
And Scott.
Well, I'm there.
I gotta talk into this thing. Okay, well, I'll make this quick. Like Scott said, we didn't have any issues, so we don't have a whole lot to talk about, but our professional standards require that we communicate a few things with you. That's the governance letter. That's the loose letter that's in the front of the report that Robin handed out. There were no changes in your accounting principles. Your biggest estimate's going to be your purchase order system, your accounts payable, and encumbrances. And we evaluated those and did not have any issues. We'll talk about long-term debt when we get back to Note D. We had no difficulties encountered in performing our audit when dealing with management. We do make this one journal entry every year to record your payroll liabilities. Your system doesn't agree with the way that we think it should be, so we always book those, but that's not really an issue. We made a few other adjustments for reporting purposes, principally to reclassify some things between groups. There were no disagreements with management as far as financial accounting, reporting, or auditing matters. No consultations with other independent accountants. Didn't have any findings. The third page of that governance letter, other matters, all of the stuff behind the, all the schedules behind the notes are considered supplementary information, and we have to opine on those in relation to the financial statement. So basically, that's what that says. So. In the bound portion on page 1 starts our independent auditor's report, and each year in your July meeting, in your reorganization meeting, you adopt a GAAP waiver to not use the generally accepted accounting principles. You use the state's regulatory basis of accounting. So you get an adverse opinion on US GAAP because you don't use it, but on the state's regular or regulatory basis of accounting, the KMAG, you get an unmodified opinion, and that's what you're looking for. So a nice, clean opinion there. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statement in accordance with the regulatory basis of accounting. Our responsibilities are, among other things, to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are fairly presented, and we do believe that we obtain sufficient evidence for that. Again, the supplementary information, everything behind the notes, is fairly presented in accordance with GAAP or with KMAG in relation to the financial statement as a whole. We also throw in some 2022 numbers for comparison purposes, and in relation to the 2022 financial statement, we believe all of that is fairly presented. So, any questions? Okay. And then we have other reporting required by GAS, which is the letters in the back. I'll show those to you at the end. Page 5 is your financial statement. Starts with your beginning unencumbered cash, receipts, expenditures, ending unencumbered cash, add back accounts payable and encumbrances to get to your cash balance. So basically, your only balance sheet items under the regulatory basis of accounting are cash and accounts payable and encumbrances. So that's the main difference. You don't have all your buildings listed, your vehicles, et cetera. But it shows each fund individually, and we'll look at the individual funds when we get to the back, but you can see you started the year with about 5.6 million, you ended the year with just over 6. So a lot of that was just increases in various funds. The capital outlay fund got a nice boost, but other than that, so pretty well right in line with where you started the years, where you ended the years. So. And then, like I said, we'll touch on each one of those funds when we get to the back. Note A, your summary of significant accounting policies. Like I said earlier, there were no real changes in those from the prior year, so we're gonna jump over A. You did amend your budget after the September 20 enrollment numbers came back. They were a little higher, so you increased your general fund and the at-risk fund to be able to utilize the full amounts. Compliance with Kansas statute, we did have one, the federal grants fund was overspent at the end of the year, which is against one statute, but there's another statute that says you're allowed to do it. These are all, the federal grants are on a reimbursement basis, so you usually have to spend the money before you can get it or draw it down. So we'll have some timing issues like that, but it's not really an issue there. Note C, deposits and investments, all your deposits were adequately secured at the end of the year. Note D, you've got the one GO bond issue from 2017. Payments were made exactly as required. You can see the maturities going forward there in the middle of the page. Note E, capers. Well, there's not much to say about capers. Capers is capers. The state makes the required contributions for the employees unless they're retired and come back. So basically that's the in and out fund that we'll see later. They put the money in your bank account and 5 minutes later they pull it back out. So they can say they contributed your capers for you. So this kind of a game the state plays. Other long-term obligations from operations, you got your other post-employment benefits. You're required to, of course, do COBRA insurance. You got death and disability through capers. You got a Section 125 plan, your compensated absences policy. Interfund transfers. Basically, the general fund and the supplemental general fund, or the LOB fund, receive the lion's share of the taxes and state aid. And so they're required to receive the money. The other funds that are transferred to are required to spend the money. So those are why the transfers are necessary. Risk management, everybody's, you got insurance to cover your various risks, and no subsequent events as of January 13, which is the date of this report. So, any questions on any of the notes? Nope, okay, great. Page 15 starts the supplementary information. Schedule 1 is a summary of expenditures, actual and budget. Your certified budget is what was approved when you did your budget in July and August. Your adjustment to comply with the legal max is what they kind of pared it down from. And then you get an adjustment for qualifying budget credit for federal aid in the general fund. And as long as that far right-hand column doesn't have any brackets around it, everything is okay. So no statutory violations there. Okay, the individual funds start on the next page, on page 16. You get your state aid in there, various different places, state aid, education aid, reimbursements, your mineral production tax, and then your various expenditure groups, instruction, support staff, general administration, et cetera. Operating transfers is the big one in there, besides instruction, and that's to get it to the funds that need it. So you spent exactly what you were allowed to spend last year, so that's what you want to see. You want to see dashes on the bottom of this page. So supplemental general fund, you also get some state aid in there, and of course you levy, and then those get spent as needed, and like I said, most of those get transferred to the funds that are required to spend them. So ended with a nice balance there, so everything looks good. Bilingual education is, again, one of the weighted funds that is required to have so much in expenditures, so you get your transfer in there from LOB, you make your expenditures. Virtual education, new this year, transfer from general. Capital outlay, you guys got a lot of projects going on, so we got some capital outlay expenditures. You get your ad valorem taxes in there and some other, you got a little federal aid, state aid in there, as well as a transfer from general. Well within your budget, and ended with a nice cash balance. Driver training fund, state aid, and some collections from the students, and then the class. Food service, right in line with the prior year. Big change in there is the no more free lunches in 2023, so that's why the charges for services jumped up. Professional development, your teacher training, right on page 23. 24, again, parents as teachers funds, a state aid fund. Got state aid in there. Expenditures right in line with the prior year. Special education, the special ed aid goes into the general fund. It's usually not enough, so they supplement that transfer over. Also throw in some from LOB. And then that is basically what gets transferred on to the special ed co-op. And so still ended with a nice balance in there. Career and post-secondary education fund, the old vocational education fund, gets transferred from general and LOB again, a weighted fund. Expenditures pretty close to the prior year. Nice balance in there at the end of the year. The at-risk funds, preschool aged, and the K through 12 on the next two pages. You get your transfers in from general and LOB, and then expend as needed. There was a little bit of a jump on page 28 in the K through 12, but the weightings vary from year to year. So, and then 29 Capers special retirement. Again, that money is transferred into your bank account from the state, and then it's pulled back out to make the contribution. You divide that up by the different groups as your payroll is broken up, so you can see the biggest one's going to be instruction for the teachers, et cetera. So broken up just like it should. Rec Commission Fund, you levy your 3.6 mils there, and that's passed along to the Rec Commission. Valuation was up, so that's the increase. 1 mil on the next page for the Employee Benefits Fund. Again, valuation was up, so. And then the non-budgeted funds are on page 32. These are mainly the federal aid funds, the gifts and grants and contingency reserves and student materials. Nothing really to point out here. Federal grants, of course, were up, passing along more federal aid, and then ESSER funds are in there too, so not much to point out there, really. Bond and interest fund, you collect the tax, you pay the debt just as needed. Got a nice balance in there. Okay, at the building level, the district activity funds in, on page 34, no real big changes from the prior year, which we don't have any prior year numbers in there to look at, but you started the year and ended the year with about the same cash balance, so that's a good sign. No negatives. Agency funds, these are the student organization funds at the high school, middle schools, elementary schools. No negative balances there, that's the main thing. And so everything looks pretty good for all of those. Any questions on any of those? Okay, so if you receive more or expend more than $750,000 in federal aid fund, you are required to have a single audit. So that's where we're starting in the appendices. You had, if you look at page 42, $1.3 million in federal expenditures, which is well over the $750,000 limit. We did not have any issues with your single audit. With all the additional federal regulations, everything was in order. As far as internal control goes, everything looked good. Now, we didn't audit internal control, but we didn't find anything either, so. And as far as compliance with each major program, everything was good there. So that's always what you want to see. The federal money was, even with all the extra hoops you had to jump through, was spent just like you were supposed to, so no findings there. And then you can see the various programs on page 42. Of course, your big one is usually going to be food service with ESSER. You also have a fair size balance there, and that kind of pushed you over. So we may or may not have one this year. I can't remember. I think so. Probably this year, and then maybe get back off of that for a while, save you a few dollars. But like I said, everything looked really good. Single audit wise, I mean, there are so many more checklists and regulations to comply with, and that was all done just like it was supposed to do. So your grant administrators, your superintendent, Mike and Robin, just kudos to them. So, and that's all I really have. Also in that tab is the Rec Commission. You can kind of see what they did with their tax money if you wanted to. We didn't have any findings on the Rec Commission either, so. So you can see that there. Any questions on any of that? Oops, nope. Okay, I left a new engagement letter with Robin to do the audit for next year. I made it again for a single audit just in case. We'll file this with the state as soon as you approve it. KSDE and Municipal Services will get their copies. And we just want to thank you for the opportunity to come do the work and appreciate the help we got from Scott, Robin, and Mike, and everybody else. I always want to say the high school and the middle school and elementary secretaries, but I always forget their names. So, but we appreciate all the help. Everybody was good to work with over here, and we appreciate that. So, thank you.
And as you can tell from the specificity of the report there, this is not like picking berries, and this is a thorough audit. I think this is one time where the law is doing the good thing. We should have critical friends who come in and just make sure that everything's kosher. And once again, but you heard, I mean, the levels of reports there. I can't remember how many days they're here, 4 days? Yeah,
4 or 5.
Yeah. The only bad thing at all is, I'm sorry, can't remember her name.
Cassidy.
Used an extension cord, and the fire marshal happened to show up that same day. But it's not reflected in any report whatsoever. And
It might be on your fire marshal report.
it was, and we've remedied that. But it's one of those things that happens. Anyway, it's important to have the critical friends, and once again, and we will have the single audit one more year, I'm sure.
One
of it.
more year.
Yeah,
I
we'll
think
be
so.
over the 750. But with that, I recommend the board approve of the report as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Curtis and Jill. Been moved and seconded to approve and accept the report from Kennedy McKee and Company. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you. Let's move to KISA update.
I was gonna let Dr. Ruda cover this for, no, I'm joking.
No report.
I'm going to now wax poetic for about an hour and a half about KISA. So buckle it in. Now, as you well know, the state is revamping KISA. We're going into KISA 2.0 a year from now. We are really, it's a celebratory position we are in. We're in a good spot because we are part of the pilot. And so we are basically 2 years ahead of everybody else because we've done the assessment, the needs assessments. We've looked at the data. We've come up with goals. We've got our strategies in place. We really are looking good. Future work that's taking place, we already had the first meeting, annual meeting, rather with the KSDE's, you know what they call her, but KSD representative who comes out to look at our stuff. That's done for the year. We have a meeting set up with Scott County. We're supposed to choose peer districts, like districts, if you will, to get together and then also, you know, go through it all and see what you're looking at. That's set up for February 27th, so that's all good. The four fundamentals, which I believe that and the outcomes, plus academic growth, will be the ball game of accreditation anymore. Structured literacy, quality instruction, balanced assessment, and standards alignment. We can check all those boxes. We're going down the path on all these things. So it really is a celebration. We're in the right spot, doing the right things. We just have to continue doing it. So, and, you know, look in the mirror and reflect, and if we need to adjust things, we adjust them. You have a question, Dr. Ruda?
Brevity is awesome. Thank you.
That's all I have on that, Mr. Jones.
All right, let's move to capacity level setting.
All righty, as you well know, the state law requires, well, we've had open borders for a while, but now the whole state has open borders. And as a piece of that, the district has to, by May 1, set the capacity level of the number of students per grade level, okay? And this is the third time I brought this back to you. The principals have crunched these numbers and worked with the staff, talked to their parents. So this is not something we're looking at capriciously at all. It's, you know, great thought has gone into all this. What needs to happen is by May 1, the board has to approve capacity numbers, okay? Then, as per the law, new law came into play this year, June 1 through 30 is the open enrollment process for people from out of the district. So if people who sleep in Dighton decide they want to come to school here, or literally Salina or Topeka, they can make application in between that time period, all right? And then depending on how many people want to come in per grade level, we either have to utilize a lottery system to randomly choose people, and there's a list of different priorities, if you will, of homeless kids, military family, siblings already in the district. You know, there's about 5 different priorities that are given. So then by July 15, we have to say to the people, you're in or you're out. One of the things that we are doing, the people who are currently transfer students in, they're in. They're coming in. They don't have to reapply. So we've looked to revamp everything as far as the way people apply to get in. And there's 2 criteria anymore. It's attendance and discipline. That's it. And so when somebody applies, and this is per state law, by the way, the way our board policy says 14 or fewer absences in the previous school year, one or fewer OSSs, or 2 or fewer ISSs. And that's it. We can't take into account anything else, any other factor. So what you have here tonight are the suggested, recommended from the admin and our various groups, capacities per grade levels, if you will. So on the sheet before you, it says WES. So for the preschool, that's 60 to 1 per grade level. That's 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. Breaks down to about 10 to 1 to adults. That's what that breaks down to. K2 is 72 per grade. It's about 18 per class. HES is 3rd through 5th grade, 80 per grade. That's about 20 per class. HMS is 90 per grade, and we can't really tell you what that is per hour because they shift around. You know, they just do. 9 through 12, same thing. It's 90 kids. And the specials, once again, the law dictates this. We have to name the specials. And what are the numbers there? Like welding, 10 to 1. Music and PE, 50 to 1. So ostensibly, the way this works is, let's say the board chooses to set these tonight, okay? And so I'm just going to grab HES just as an example. We move forward saying we have 80 per grade. And we literally just start counting. So people start enrolling, and we're going to do enrollment earlier this year. We're going to do it in April, and we're going to feed people, try to get as many people to enroll as fast as possible. We'll just keep track. We're at 60, we're at 71, 72, 73, 74, and it just kind of stops. Oh, we're under 80. Fine. Don't have to evoke the lottery stuff. Let's move to HMS for fun. So 7th grade, we were sitting at 85, and then we get this blip, it goes to 92, then it goes to 95. Okay, we're over 90 at that point. All right. We look at our current students, they're in. The people who live here and the people who are current transfer students, they're in. And then everybody else, it's not first come, first serve. We take all those other people over the capacity, and we use the lottery system. And what we'll do is we'll go to the computer, a randomizing program, and that's how we'll choose who gets in next. The challenges with this is it's hurry up and wait. The principal's contracts are done June 15, so they're going to be doing this work while they're on vacation. I'm sure we'll have to figure that out. But, and then we have to get hold of and bring people, let people know they're coming on in. The other piece about this is, let's say we get right to capacity. If people move into town, they cannot be denied. If they live in our district, so let's say it pops it over the 90 number to 92. They, in the State House, have not figured that one out yet, because you'd be breaking your own policy by bringing the 91st student in that grade. But the bigger law says they sleep here, they get in. There's nothing you can do about it. So there's 2 rules of thumb on, or 2 ways forward on this. Set the number where you really think it's going to be, and that's what we've done, or set it way high, because then you'll never break the limit. However, if you set it way high, you could end up with classes of pretty good size. So
these numbers, were they arrived at by our current staff level, the current
correct.
amount of classrooms we could have, or what was the?
Absolutely. We took into account our current sections that we offer. We're basically 4 across the board. Classrooms that are available, current class sizes, and fudged it from there. A little bit up, a little bit down. Let's say the nightmare scenario hits, and in a given, this could happen. It's not probable, but it's possible. HMS goes to 100 kids in 8th grade. Let's just say it happens. We're going to buy double wides. We're going to have a class in this room. Now, find a teacher? Good luck. On July 15th. The Philippines. That's
Got an extra English teacher.
You have 1 extra English teacher sitting right here. That's correct. And somebody else told me I had to coach basketball. No.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway.
History.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Thought it was girls soccer or something.
Yeah, or lacrosse. So anyway, that's how these numbers, it was not just, it wasn't capricious at all. We looked at it as best we can, but it's still trying to predict the future. It's like driving down the road while you're looking in the rearview mirror, hoping you see where the curve is. We'll know far better 2 years from now how this plays. For the most of the state, this is not a big deal. We are unique. We're 6 miles from the big brown beast. We already have a solid 20% of our student body coming to us from outside the district. And so, depending on with whom you talk about this, one attitude is, if they wanted to be here, they'd already be here, because we've had open borders for a while. Another attitude is, ooh, they're coming. Now they're coming. And I'll know June 31st. There is no June 31st. I'll know July 1st what happens.
It'll be interesting how they reset their borders over there, how it affects, because they're looking at
Attendance borders? Yeah. Right. Yeah,
District
because that could,
They're moving their district boundary.
No.
their school.
yeah, not the boundary for the district.
Just their interior boundaries between the schools.
And that kind of thing, I don't know, that kind of thing could trigger somebody to say, well, I don't want to be in school here, I want to go over there.
I think they're
Don't know.
having big trouble with Jenny Parker.
So we just sit back and wait, and say, thank you, may I have another?
So let's say we do go over the magic number. What is Topeka gonna put us on double secret probation, or?
No, and the only way you can go over the magic number is like the scenario I already gave you. We get right to the edge and then people move in. The law is silent on that. So yeah, they'll come take our activity bus, maybe, or I don't know.
Or he kicks the kids out that we've already transferred in. or
Can't do that. It's a one-way highway. You can't do it. And so, yeah, we could absolutely come, but if let's say that, it doesn't matter. When people move to town, they move to town. Somebody can move to town on August 1st, we're done, we're good. And then all of a sudden we have, not very possible this is going to occur, or probable rather. 5 kids show up in a single grade, we're within 3 of the capacity, and boom, we're over it. You take them.
How close to these capacities are we right now?
About 7. So, I think we've got enough room.
Like 7 per
Yeah, per grade level, yeah. I think we're good. We pushed it up a little bit, but we also, in my mind's eye, and I know the staff doesn't want us to say, let's look at HHS, for example, 90 per grade, 150 per grade. Because all that means to me as a classroom teacher is,
Could bring in 86 more kids.
yeah, my class is gonna go from 20 to 45
Bring 'em
kids.
on.
Yeah, and so, having been a high school English teacher, and I did have classes of 36 at times, it's far better to have 18, depending on what you're trying to get done with your students. So, yeah, we can count, that's money, ducats there, buddy, but, it would negatively impact the educational environment. So what we do instead is we try to hire teachers, we try to find people. But then we're back to, well, that's fine, where are they gonna sit? You know, we do have some open rooms, but at some point it could be exhausted. And what I don't wanna do is, and I've seen districts do this, during construction usually, Holton School District, north of Topeka, during construction, they got their gym floor fixed first, ready to go, this happened 15 years ago, but nothing else. So they just put up, clotheslines, hung sheets, and had school on the gym floor. That wasn't a positive educational environment, I don't think. But we make do if we need to.
So remind me what the merit and purpose behind this is?
I cannot tell you that because it's political. I think this is all about Johnson County, Sedgwick County, and Shawnee County. I think that's what it's all about. In my mind's eye, I don't want to go too far down that beaten path, but it's all an attempt to do away with public ed.
So
It's about
every-
privatization is what it's about.
Every year, May 1,
It's freewheeling
redo
for
this.
the educational
Yep.
business.
We have to, by May 1, every year we have to set the capacity. That's why I'm saying 2 years down from now, we'll say, yeah, here's what our number is. Here's what it really is. Yeah, so, yeah, they didn't call me and say, hey, Scott, what do you think about this? They just passed this doggone law.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to have an answer. I was just seeing if you could come up with something.
Well, let me talk about KISA for a while. Let's go back. and talk about-
Backtrack.
Well, we already passed it.
So anyway, I recommend you set these numbers as presented, these capacities as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan, Ruda, and Casey. It's been moved and seconded to approve the grade level capacities as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, concession stand restroom update.
All right, Garrett, if you come to the table, please fill in blanks if I say something that's not right or forget something. The plans are on the table. Feel free to take a look at them, people in the audience, if you want to look at them as well. We're moving forward. We had the meeting, the Let's Get Going meeting last week. Papers were signed. At that meeting, they said demo would begin the work of the 26th, but Garrett for me today is talking to him. Talking to the mic, please.
Yep, they're gonna be putting their fence up this week and looking at starting next Monday.
So that's ahead of the schedule. I like that. I like hearing ahead of schedule when we're talking about construction. Concrete is supposed to, according to that original one, or meeting the other day, concrete is supposed to take place during the first week of March, the rebar and all that kind of good stuff. And then the building won't be delivered till late April. So if the demo's taken care of and they've done everything, or our people have done everything, but Pepsi machines aren't out or refrigerators aren't out.
Yep.
And we're trying to figure out if it's Wheatland's electricity or ours, but somebody's gonna throw the switch and turn off the electricity. They'll be ready to roll. And the demo, we think it'll come down in 2 days. It won't take long. And then we'll get the concrete poured. Now, we get all that set and ready to roll. We can't build a building until the metal shows up, but we're gonna get it set up. All of this has an impact on track. Chad's all over it. There are 3 meets. What we've done thus far to accommodate this, we're designating the far west and the far east gates to come in, for the kids to come in to practice and or the meets themselves. He's already contracted with a group. He named it, but I can't remember off the top of my head. A porta potty trailer, if you will, for each event. It'll have, I think he told me 3 and 3 or 3 and 4, something like that. But also, we'll open the science hallway because there's bathrooms right there, and it's within the 500 feet, so that's legal, not a problem. We can do that. And concession stands are going to be in the science hallway, and we'll lock off the rest of the building. So we're as prepared as we can be. Talking to Mike today, we're haven't quite encumbered all the funds yet, but we're getting ready to. So I can't think of something that we're set, we're ready to go. We're just waiting for the party to start. So questions about that project? As well, with construction, you can count on 10% overage on money and on time. But we did write into it a penalty phase, so hopefully that won't be the case this time. Yeah, no walnut floors.
Ready for spring, and we'll be okay with it taking too much time.
Not gonna be wet. It's
That'll
gonna be
work for
perfect
me.
construction.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's move to KASB policy update.
As you're aware, about twice a year, KASB puts out recommended, suggested policy adjustments. Basically, a lot of it has to do with, new laws come through, or they read some new federal policy or they've forgotten in the past, and just working to get everybody where they need to be. Last month, the board did the official first read, moving it to the second month. So tonight, after I go through this real quickly for you, the idea is you accept these policies and move on. So 2 of these, EBBD and JBH, deal with the authority of releasing kids during the day in the case of emergencies. It just gives us more authority to say, it's not safe to go outside, stay put, stay with us. And/or, I don't care that you say you're that child's uncle, show me, prove it. And so it just gives it more authority to do so. EE, food management, basically sets that we will allow $20 worth of credit if people are having difficulty paying their bills, but then it cuts off, and then we provide them a reimbursable meal, peanut butter, milk, and vegetables of some sort. I'm not gonna let a kid go hungry on my watch. We'll do that, and that's reimbursable. We want people to pay their bills, but some people have difficulty with that. GARID, rather, Unified Service Leave, basically expands the coverage to more service branches, that's all. Student self-administration of medication, and that's JGFGBA and JDDAA. Basically deals with if students come in with over-the-counter drugs and they're handing them out to friends, if they're not doing it correctly. And so it gives us the opportunity to home in on that better with the unfortunate discipline we have to do. And GARIA, the Amy Albright policy, deals with the allowing all employees who need to do so to express milk while at work. And along those lines, we can't be in a bathroom, has to be a secluded space. And so it just, provides the opportunity for people, if they need be, because it's a reality. So I recommend the board adopt these proposed policies.
So moved.
Ryan Schreigel, Vogel, and Sean. Moved and second to approve the KASB proposed policy adjustments as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, pandemic plan review and approval.
Just don't throw things. In order for us to garner the last big pile of money, $500,000, the board has to look at our plan and approve it again. This is the same plan we've had. We've been at level 1 for 2 years. We're not going off level 1. I highly recommend the board approve of this policy as it's presented.
Second.
Curtis and Jill. Moved and second to approve the district pandemic plan as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. New business, overnight student trips.
Law that went into play this year, overnight student trips with students sleeping in the same room of their birth gender, codified and reiterated the need for us to approve of all overnight trips where students are representing the district. So gather that together, working with Chad. We have tonight 4 different requests to spend the night someplace. Bowling regionals in Hutchinson, track optional trip to Washburn. I'll go through the details of these in a moment. Track 2, Wichita Pre-State Challenge in Wichita, and then track 3, Kansas Track and Field Championships. The ones that are regional and or state, the district pays the bill. Pay for food, we pay for transportation, we pay for hotel, we pay for it. The ones that are not state and or regional, if you look at track number 1, it says students pay for everything. If you look at track number 2, fundraising pays for everything. And that's basically how it's been in place in USD 363 for a long time. But now, once again, to use the same word, it's going to be codified. These are the requests I have for tonight. Ultimately, I already talked to Chad about this. We know when the regional and state things are going to be every year. So why don't we just do this all at once? And so like August or September, he's built a template already, spreadsheet. And it's fine. He's done a nice job with this. I'll bring that in. And we'll just have them all. We'll say football, basketball, and it'll be. And the motion would be, if needed, you know, or if we qualify for the different things. But that way, we can bring them back every month if you want, but it just takes time. So I recommend the board approve of the overnight student trips.
The dates
As
on
presented.
track 3 are not right, are they? It's May, shouldn't be May.
Yes, it should be. Thank you.
Casey.
We'll make that May instead of April as presented. So now with the adjustment of May for the state track.
Is the pre-state right, is that April? I don't know when that one is, but I just know state tracks. in May.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, just making sure.
If not, we can bring it back next.
Yeah, we can bring it back.
I'll make a motion to present them with the change in date.
Second.
Casey and Ryan Schreivogel. It's been moved and seconded to approve the overnight student trips with the adjustment as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, donations to the district.
Yeah, we continue to be blessed. Our district, our patrons really do support us. But in order for people to give things to us, the board has to accept them, or choose to accept them, rather. Finney County 4-H is donating $100 for HES Snack Closet. Clydeen Hobbs Memorial, Dwayne Pites is donating $50 for the HES Library. And UniFirst Company is donating a Don't Drive Distracted floor mat for HHS. I recommend the board accept the donations as presented.
So moved.
Ryan, Ruda, and Sean. It's been moved and seconded to accept the donations to the district as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, executive session 20?
45.
Oh,
All right, back it
there
off.
goes my record.
Back it off to 30 if you want it.
Nah, we'll do 40. You think 45?
I think 45.
All right, so let's say we go into executive session for 45 minutes at 7:10.
To invite principals in.
Principals.
7:10.
Or 7:09? 7:11? 7:10 with principals, superintendent,
Principals as needed, yeah.
as needed, superintendent.
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Ryan Schrevel. Moved and seconded to go into executive session for 45 minutes at 7:10 with Dr. Myers and principals as needed. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
You guys are here.
more life.
Your favorite duty you do, isn't it, Robin?
All right, we are back in session. I need a motion to hire Yadira Juarez Soto as a middle school full-time ESOL para.
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Ryan Ruda. Moved and seconded to hire Yadira. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to hire Garrett Kathman as a bus driver starting next school year.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Ruda and Ryan Schreivogel. Moved and seconded to hire Garrett next year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to hire Rosalba Contreras as a bus driver.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Schreivogel and Jill. Moved and seconded to hire Rosalba. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, I need a motion to extend all the principals to 2-year contracts beginning July 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Ruda and Sean. Moved and seconded to extend all the principals to 2-year contracts beginning July 1st. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I need a motion to offer Dr. Myers a 2-year contract deal with a 3% raise the first year and a 3% raise the second, with a $100 increase for his 403B the first year and a $100 increase per month on the second year, and buy back any of his unused vacation days at his current daily rate
At the end of the second year.
at the end of the second year.
So moved.
Second. Curtis.
Jill and Curtis. Been moved and seconded on Dr. Myers's contract as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Is that it, Dr. Myers? All right.
That is it.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Jill
Second.
and Ryan Schreibogel. Moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?